it's live and it's good. We got a few of you in the live stream. Good to see you. Hey, everybody, Gavin Syme. And I think we need to talk about Soros funding. Is George Soros really funding everything? And if George Soros is funding everything, is he actually funding nothing? Is that a paradox? Let's get into it. I think the first thing we need to talk about today, to kind of lead into all of this, let's go to DuckDuckGo instead of Google, so we're getting a little more balanced response. I think the first thing we need to do to set the stage here, where's my little zoom? Let's search for IDF Babes, all right? IDF Babes. Now, IDF is the Israeli Defense Force. If you've followed any sort of conservative patriot movement circles, pages, etc. for a long time, you've probably seen IDF propaganda. If you search for IDF Babes, you're going to get a lot of hot Jewish girls in IDF. The IDF makes a very concerted investment to making sure that their image is hot, young babes defending the homeland, and therefore they have to be the good guys because, I mean, look at their hot babes. And there's no denying. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the presentation of this. It's great propaganda, and the IDF is very, very good at propaganda. I mean, like side by sides, right? Hot IDF babes, military, bikinis. We're talking side by side, all right? So preface that with our understanding of what we're seeing happening in the world today. Propaganda is a very powerful tool, and the IDF is super, super good at it. Now we see all these. I'm going to be moving pretty fast here. This isn't going to be a long show, but we're going to cover a lot. And I'm going to be showing you news stories, screenshots, things like that along the way for reference, and you can go verify me and look them up yourself. Okay, keep the chat going, hit that like button. Now, even on Drudge, right? Unrest rocks universities. We love a good controversy. It's the only thing that makes the news go around. 300 arrests. New York City warned of radicalization. What do they mean by radicalization exactly? What is that? We're going to talk about that in just a second. Let's keep setting the stage. And thank you for the kind comments, guys. I saw this then, and this is actually what prompted me to go do a little research and throw up here for today's video, because they're like, oh, why do all the protests have matching tents? And then they're like, Soros funded. And I left a comment, which of course got mocked, because you can't comment on Facebook or on any state worshiping group or faction worshiping group with logic, right? You can't comment on people actually having human rights when it comes to refugees or immigration. You can't comment on the fact that people have a right to protest if the group you're in is against those protesters, because then you're just supporting radicalism. Is that what we're supporting? This is not just on Facebook, right? Let's look at the New York Post. I think we know where they stand on this. Soros funded, this is the headline, Soros funneled $15 million to groups rallying for Hamas. Okay, so they're rallying for Hamas. Now, I think we have to clarify something. These so-called groups, I've been watching the atrocity that's been happening. And politicians always wage war on each other in the name of this or in the name of that, and who suffers is the children, the widow, the fatherless, all the people that, you know, God tells us to protect. But for some reason, Christians are okay with us bombing them as long as they're the people we hate, even though I don't even think they know why we hate them. Why are Palestinians bad again? Now, we could get into, there's lots of videos that have got into the complex history of Israel and Palestine, and I'm not an expert at that. You know what I'm an expert at? I'm an expert at seeing through propaganda BS and trying to simplify that message and get us to think about loving each other, or at least get myself to think that. I don't know if I'm an expert at getting you to think that. So we have all this stuff going on, right? Each side putting their stuff out. But I've been following some of these guys like Resistance is Beautiful and other activists who might not be the normal activists in our in 2A movements or in auditing movements, and these guys are out protesting for Palestine. So basically we have this thing happening right now where if you support not literally murdering children in Palestine, you therefore support Hamas. And it's much the same as the argument that says, if I don't vote for two crap candidates, I have no right to complain. I absolutely deny your propaganda fraud. By not supporting one of two bad candidates and not voting for them, I still have every right to complain. I've given up zero right to complain because my voice was stronger in that case by refusing to support either one. In like manner, by not supporting the Israel Defense Force literally terrorizing a country, I think it's pretty evident. Look, take what IDF is doing in Palestine. If it was any other nation in that part of the world doing it to another group, they would immediately be labeled a terrorist organization based on what I've seen over the past 20 years. So why is it that IDF can do whatever the bleep they want? Well, they have friends in high places, and of course they have IDF babes. They have been promoting that IDF is protecting the homeland, and they're good and they're great, and anything goes. Anything they do is to protect against anti-Semitism. Now, just so we're clear, Palestinians are Semites too. So now you come through and you have people protesting on colleges, because people from when this war first started, I started seeing videos and they're showing what Israel forces are doing. They're showing videos. I don't know if they're still doing it, but the actual IDF soldiers were like making TikToks, talking about how they're breaking into people's houses and stealing their stuff, selling, taking their properties, taking family homes, and literally having like events and posters out where you can go and buy other people's homes that were stolen from them by IDF soldiers. How is this any different than any other violent invasion? How is this, I got a question. How is what IDF and the state of Israel is doing in Palestine any different than what in the United States we did to the natives, to the Native Americans? We just stole their land for gold and power. We put them in reservations. How is it any different when you literally use guns to force people out of their house? Now, I know people are going to say, Gavin, as Christians, we have to support Israel. That is absolute heresy. That you have to support the abuse of the weak, the fatherless, and the widow, which is directly contrary to God's law, because the person abusing the weak, the fatherless, and the widow says, we're Israel. Now, there's no Jew hating. If you guys have followed me in my interviews back in the day, there was lots of people that tried to bait me into being anti-Jew. The kind of Jews did this mindset, right? This has nothing to do with that. And I said, whoa, we're not going into the racism thing. I respect everyone's right to exist. Palestine, Israel, Mexico, Africa, United States. People have a right to be left alone. I've always said this, that our rights are inherent, they are natural, they're not granted by constitutions, only affirmed by them, and we have a right to those no matter where we are in the world and no matter what idiot law says. And people say, Gavin, you're losing my respect. I shouldn't do videos talking and stuff. I'm ignorant. I'm not ignorant on this. I have watched this propaganda building, particularly among conservative Christians, for 20 years. I see exactly what's happening. I'm not trying to do a history documentary here because I know that there's been bad things done from the Palestine side, from the Hamas side, from the Israel side. None of that matters. When you're the guy, here's the thing. You can always say, he did this, he did that. Remember when we were kids and like we'd run to tell, but then one would run ahead and be like, no, he did this. No, but he did this first. No, but they did that first. That's what Israel is right now. They're the little tattler, except going and saying, no, they did this to us, so we can do this. We're defending ourselves. That's why we're murdering women and children, killing babies, and bombing hospitals. The only problem is it's not little kids fighting anymore. It's missiles being hurled back and forth. And it's not okay. It's not Christian to support it. Now, does this mean we come back and say, oh, well, we have to hate Jews? No, it's not about that at all. And anyone who says that I'm trying to imply that is just a liar, and they're creating propaganda as well. Look at what's happening. police removing protesters on the campus, right? There's all these videos, all this stuff, and we see these hyper-militarized police. Hang on, I'm gonna get echo if I don't turn this off. Hang on a second, let me switch this to headphones. We see all these hyper-militarized police across the country, and they're raiding these protests, right? We see, there's a video here. And bear in mind, most of these videos I'm finding, the things I'm showing you, these aren't people, YouTubers that I follow or anything like that. I just have done some research to find examples.
President announced that it will not divest from Israel. The building is itself significant, called Hamilton Hall, but renamed Hind Hall by protesters in memory of the 6-year-old Gazan girl killed under IDF fire. The building has a...
It's important to understand that the IDF is making no effort to not murder innocents, right? They're trying to invade a country and take their stuff, and that's been pretty clear for months now. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Look at these. Do these look like people coming into you to try and calm a situation? Now, people say, oh, these protesters, you know, they're violent. I've been watching the Palestinian protesters for months now and seen their videos like on Instagram and stuff like that. They're actually very reasoned. They're showing actual videos of what is being done to these people, and they're saying this is outrageous, and they're absolutely right. And if you're actually paying attention at all and not just living in fake Christian la-la land where we have to support the state, what you're actually doing is worshiping the state, not God. Because God doesn't call us to abuse innocence. That doesn't mean that Jews don't have a right to freedom and to live free and to be left alone either. Of course they do. Everyone does. That's the point. That's the point. Now, what struck me today, and I want to keep moving here, is I saw this, and they're saying it's Soros funded. Look at all these tents. They're all the same. This is Soros funded. Guys, I've been called Soros funded before in my protest. Anytime someone on the more right-leaning side wants to make out like you're a shill, they say you're Soros funded. I never received a dime, by the way, from Soros. And I doubt most of these people are either, right? But what I see, let's go to the protests. Let's step away from the conflict of like, who's good, Palestine or Israel, for a second. The idea that if you have groups of students protesting, the police can just come in and arrest them. Now, the only people, when I'm watching these videos, the only people I see being violent is the police. The only people in riot gear are the police. The only people destroying the property of others en masse are the police. The only people throwing people to the ground, taking their phones away and preventing them and using force is the police. Now, but oh no, they have the same color tents. Soros is funding this. Can we come back to that right now? First of all, I don't know if these images are real. Maybe they found some images where everybody had the same tents. Probably somebody donated them. There's lots of images from these protests all over the place where people have other colored tents, right? In fact, it's not really even like, look at these protests, right? They're building these camps, and people say they don't have a right to build a camp. Most of these are public universities. So yes, people have a right to protest them and the things that they're supporting, because to support what is happening in Palestine is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and if you do, you are supporting murder. Now, that doesn't mean that it answers every question of the conflict, but to support the level of atrocities that the IDF is committing in Palestine, and that seems to be well documented and there's tons of evidence for, not just rumors, there's videos of it, is ridiculous. It's simply psycho, or antichrist, if you will. And yes, Johnny, I think, is onto something. Maybe it's the cheapest tent from Walmart. But here's the thing. Here's the thing people miss. People justify, oh yeah, finally, these idiot college students, they're getting arrested. That's what they should be. I'm so sick of everyone saying that everyone that doesn't agree with them should get arrested. And someone said when we started the show, like, what do you think about all these university protesters? I think they're really ignorant. A lot of times that's true. These are young people, they're passionate, somebody gets them fired up and they protest. But of all the things that people protest at universities, I think protesting for the right of Palestinians to live is a pretty good thing to be protesting for, guys. Now, does that mean they all have the right message? That none of them have any hate? No. But I've been watching the so-called pro-Palestinian protests that are being called pro-Hamas, that are being called anti-Israel. What these people are actually supporting is people not being murdered, people not having their homes stolen from them, people having a right to life, liberty, and property like we've supported here since day one, right? So maybe if you'd stop being propagandized by your church and by IDF babes, you could see through the propaganda and be like, wait, this is what politicians do. The Israeli state and the people running it right now are criminals. That has no effect on whether you support the rights of Jews. It's just like saying any other group of politicians are criminals, and these ones have gone too far. Too far. So you have all these university protests happening, and the only violence I'm seeing is coming from anti-protesters, from pro-IDF gets to do whatever it wants, from the Israeli state can do no wrong even though they're completely corrupt. What I see is police acting like the IDF. I think they train each other because they both act like thugs. And I've seen lots of videos of the IDF doing summary executions, murdering people, beating people, mocking prisoners, degrading people. I mean stuff that if you are sane, it should make you sick. Go look at, I'm not gonna show all these videos right here because there's a lot of them and it would get this video censored, but they are important. Open your eyes and start looking at what's happening because there are vastly more videos. And that's the thing is I've actually been educating myself. I'm not just blindly and stupidly following like a sheep at your local Republican Party meeting or your local Patriot Space book. There's so much evidence, not just random, not some AI generated obscure thing that's probably fake. There's so much video evidence of what is being done in Palestine. And I haven't made a lot of videos on it, I just mentioned it in passing, but I won't be silent about it either. And props to the university students for actually protesting something that's relevant and that matters in the world. It's not okay what's happening. It's not okay. And so as we see all of these people that hate human rights, that value a state that they worship, the faction, the party they worship, over Jesus, over loving people, and over human rights, it's time to say no to those people. It's time to stop letting those people control the conversation because they're ignorant, they're foolish, they're children, they're immature, they're violent. And just like we stand up to cops and fascist city hall members when we make videos, we have to stand up to these sycophants of criminals because it's not okay. And so I'm always willing to look at both sides, and I've been doing so for months now. And that's why initially I didn't make a lot of comments, and I've watched the videos. So I don't care about propaganda from either side. I'm not going to say Jews are bad guys, but I will happily say the current state of Israel is a criminal state. The politicians, it's not like all the Jews agree with this. That's an absolute fallacy. The idea that because someone's a Jew, they support what the criminals, the terrorists that are currently running the state of Israel are doing is an absolute propaganda fallacy as well. There's massive amounts that don't. So I'm not going to hate anyone, but I will absolutely oppose a criminal state. And so we have all these encampments and all this stuff going on, and the fact is, let's go back to these tents, right? And you have Texas, right? You have them arresting people. You have them doing all this crap. Look at who's terrorizing here. You got one guy and 10 cops, and these idiots over here standing there, looking on like, oh, you know, we gotta round them up. We gotta round them up.
Creatures within are not welcoming to mortals.
Who's the criminals in these videos? Who do you think the criminals are? These young kids that are passionate and yelling about something, or these guys marching around like jackbooted thugs? Who's there trying to hurt someone? Are you this? I just want to know, like in the comments, are you dumb enough that you believe that these students are the problem? Are you dumb enough? If you do, please dislike this video now and tell me yes or tell me no in the comments. Are you that easy to fool? Are you that easy to propaganda? so, you really need to just full stop. Stop talking, stop posting, stop supporting, and start researching history. I'm sorry, like I'm a little passionate about this. I'm trying to be nice to everyone here, but it's crazy. Let's go back to these tents. They say Soros, they deserve to be arrested. This is all fake. It's George Soros funded. They say the same thing about the migrant trains that come up every year. This has been happening for years. It has nothing to do with George Soros. They travel in groups to go migrate to the States because it's safer that way. And they don't get screwed with as much that way because, yeah, they have a right to travel. So I don't even care if it's George Soros funded. I highly doubt George Soros is sending tents. But here's the thing, you guys. This is what actually sparked me to talk to this video, and I want to close with this, and then I want you to go do your own research. It doesn't matter who donated the tents. Oh, the tents are all the same. Someone's organizing this protest. There's always someone organizing the protest, guys. When we had the largest felony civil disobedience rally in United States history in Washington State in 2014, I was organizing. Yeah, there was someone organizing. Me, Oswald, and others. But I was the one that said, this is what we're doing. I was organizing it, guys, with the help of friends. And that's why it happened. All the porta potties are the same color. Probably Soros funded it. No, I literally used my credit card from the donations that people gave to me to help with that rally, and I ordered the porta potties. I bought the speakers. So yeah, when you have protests, they're usually organized. It's very possible if the concept of the protest is we're going to camp out in front of the university, which people have a right to do. Most of these universities, and someone said, oh, you know, let's go back to this really quick. Here's what someone said. The Bill of Rights is a restriction on government, not private institutions. Private universities can restrict whatever protest speech gathering they want. State schools are a different story. First of all, let's look at this meme they're sharing that nobody bothered to research. 2 of the schools in this are publicly funded. Yale is considered a private university. You know how much money Yale gets? I think from the federal government in 2022, they got about $500 million. Does that sound like a private university? You see, if you say you're private, but the people are paying for you, that's not private. Not only that, people are paying to go to these schools. Yes, they have a right to protest on the quad. Yes, they have a right to camp out front. Now, I'm not saying they can break things and do whatever they want. The only right police have is to stop somebody that's hurting someone else, that's violating their property. The police have no right to remove protesters. That's ridiculous. People have a right to protest. Police have no right. Let me repeat this. Police have no right to remove protesters from a public place. And yes, these are public places, so let's not pretend. Even these private universities are public access places. Most of the people protesting are paying to go there, but more than that, if you're getting your way paid by our tax dollars, you're not private. I don't care what you say. You're not private, and you don't have the rights of someone in their private home, for example. If someone's protesting in your front lawn, in your living room, that's your private place, and you have a right to trespass them out. And at that point, a security officer could grab them and say, you have to go with your tent because it's your property. That doesn't apply here. People have a right to protest. They do have a right to disrupt. That's the whole point of protesting. It always has been. Ever heard of the Boston Tea Party? Ever heard of the Founding Fathers? Ever heard of the American Revolution? Every protest that was effective throughout history was disrupting people. And that's not to say you can hold people hostage. You can't prevent them from getting somewhere.
All eyes on Rafah. Wait, Trump has been found guilty. All eyes off Rafah. That and more on this week's America Uncovered headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Let's start off with our apparently weekly edition of Really, California? Really? An 81-year-old serial slingshot shooter was arrested in Los Angeles. The man spent almost a decade shooting his slingshot at house and car windows as well as people in his neighborhood. Wow, after all this time, Dennis is still a menace. And yes, I went with a Dennis the Menace reference because the next most famous slingshotter before him was David slaying Goliath, which you can read all about in the God Bless the USA Bible, the only Bible endorsed by former President Donald Trump, still actually on sale. Which may surprise you because Trump was found guilty on all counts in his hush money case, which was an absolute dumpster fire. But more on that later in the episode. I want to give you something to look forward to. Speaking of situations that are basically just flaming poop piles, the Israel-Hamas conflict. I don't do this often, but we're going to need a preemptive America Uncovered mental health break for this one. Oh, just look at them scampering around, not a care in the world. Specifically, one part of the world seeing massive civilian casualties. Aww. Israel launched an attack on the southern Gaza city of Rafah, killing 2 senior Hamas commanders. However, the attack started a fire that killed 45 people sheltering in a tent camp. And even better, experts say Israel used a US-made bomb in the attack. Ooh, not a good look, especially with the eyes of the world on Israel, a world which, incidentally, immediately denounced the strike. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called this a tragic mishap.
קרתה לצערנו אמש תקלה טרגית. אנחנו חוקרים את המקרה, אנחנו נסיק את המסקנות, כי זו המדיניות שלנו. כל בלתי מעורב שנפגע זה טרגדיה. אצל חמאס זו אסטרטגיה. זה כל ההבדל.
Sadly, he's right. This kind of mishap is a tragedy. But not as far as Hamas is concerned. They don't care about the well-being of Palestinian civilians. They have been condemned for constantly using them as human shields. Hamas wants Israel to kill Palestinian civilians because the inevitable backlash against Israel only helps Hamas. So for any student protesters feeling the urge to defend or even support Hamas, maybe don't? Meanwhile, speaking of student protesters, Time reports that anti-Semitism has been on the rise since Israel launched their campaign after the October 7th massacre, especially among young Americans. This has particularly been seen at university protests, and this recent attack on Rafah will only further inflame these protests. However, the rise in anti-Semitism may not actually be true. A recent Harvard-Harris poll showed most Americans support Israel and hold an unfavorable view of Hamas. A strong majority of voters continue to support Israel in the conflict, and 2/3 feel Israel is trying to minimize casualties. A strong majority of voters thought Israel should move forward on the operation in Rafah to finish the war. Now maybe that will change after the reality of the strike. Israel continues to press into Rafah, where they believe Hamas commanders are hiding among thousands of Gaza citizens, using them as human shields. But on the bright side, scientists are hopeful that CBD can help treat pets' arthritis, allergies, and anxiety. And if you're wondering what that has to do with the Israel-Hamas conflict, absolutely nothing. But after all that doom and gloom we just covered, I'm hopeful that this new discovery will mean more comfortable joints and less terror on 4th of July for those cute, cuddly little guys. Oh, that's better. Sorry, sometimes the cruelty of man can get to me. Thankfully, I can rest easy knowing that nature herself isn't so chaotic and unforgiving. 24 people were killed over Memorial Day weekend by storms that devastated several U.S. states. Can't I even get a 30-second break without the horrors of reality sledgehammering me in the face with reminders of my fragile mortality? Come on, as if we needed any more death than we usually get on Memorial Day. Those caused by excessive dehydration due to people contracting the meat sweats. The most delicious and patriotic way to die in America. Speaking of things dying in America, abortion. I know, finally a lighthearted story. Louisiana has become the first state to classify abortion pills as controlled substances. It's kind of weird because controlled substances are typically drugs that are addictive or abused. I don't think anyone's addicted to abortion pills. I've never heard of a story of a young woman turning tricks to afford abortion pills and purposely getting pregnant while turning these tricks so they can get out and get more. If you think that was dark, you're welcome. because it hopefully took your mind off how dark the Israel-Hamas conflict is. At least until I just reminded you about it. Hey, look, more puppies! It's been a rough week. After the break, Hillary Clinton blamed someone new for her loss in 2016. Welcome back. If you think the 2024 presidential election cycle is long, well, just wait, because it would seem the 2016 election still isn't over, at least not for Hillary Clinton, who now says women are to blame for her loss to Donald Trump. She said about the women who didn't vote for her, they left me because they just couldn't take a risk on me, because as a woman, I'm supposed to be perfect. They were willing to take a risk on Trump, who had a long list of, let's call them, flaws, to illustrate his imperfection, because he was a man, and they couldn't envision a man as president and commander-in-chief. Man, pun intended. First it was Bernie Bros, now it's women. Who else is he going to blame before he looks in the mirror and admits she ran a horrible campaign? The only time anyone said Hillary is killing it on the campaign trail were allegations about a murdered Democratic staffer. I'm not suicidal, by the way. Don't know why I brought that up. Speaking of presidential campaigns, the Libertarian Party has nominated Chase Oliver as their presidential candidate, leading to resounding, earth-shattering cries of, who? Oliver is a political activist who left the Democratic Party due to his anti-war views. He also once called for an open border as the best way to help the open market, because the semi-open border is working out so well for America right now. So well, in fact, that New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who previously said that the asylum seeker crisis will destroy New York City, is now suggesting hiring illegal immigrants to help ease the city's lifeguard shortage. Because, and I can't stress this strongly enough, that he's saying this and not me, many of them are excellent swimmers. Special Counsel Jack Smith requested a gag order to be placed on Donald Trump in his upcoming classified documents case, because implementing a gag order in his so-called hush money case worked out so well, Trump kept quiet the entire trial, plus or minus 10 times. Putting a gag order on Trump only helps him. Paying $1,000 per violation is nothing to him. And if he gets thrown in jail, a new mugshot would only help him in the polls, just like the last one did. The only real question is, what expression would he go for? Angry again? Sultry and smoldering like blue steel? Or would it be like a graduation photo shoot where you do one serious and one goofy? Speaking of Trump trials, we finally get to it. Trump was found guilty on all 34 counts in his so-called hush money trial, making him the first former U.S. president in history to be convicted of a felony, paving the way for the stunning comeback of America Uncovered's presidential pick, Chris Christie. He's not a felon. As you can imagine, Trump handled the verdict with quiet acceptance, careful to uphold the sanctity of the U.S. legal system.
This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt.
So why are Trump and many others attacking the judge in this case? Well, there's more than one issue, but here's the latest one. Judge Juan Merchant gave the jurors 55 pages worth of instructions before they adjourned for deliberation. According to some tweets, he told the jurors that they didn't need to agree on what crime Trump committed, which seemed pretty fishy to people since jury convictions require a unanimous verdict. And this made it sound like the judge said it didn't have to be unanimous at all. Well, this set off a slew of outrage and confusing headlines, and lots of accusations of a rigged trial. But wait, is that true? Guess what? It's complicated. Bet you totally saw that one coming. Okay, let's dig in, people. The jury did need to be unanimous, as in 12 out of 12 in their decision to convict Trump. What was Trump actually charged with? Well, that's the confusing part. So the basics are that during the 2016 presidential campaign, Trump's then lawyer, Michael Cohen, paid Stormy Daniels hush money to not talk about how she had an affair with Donald Trump. When Trump reimbursed Cohen, the money was categorized as legal fees, which it was not. So, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg charged Trump with falsifying business records. So, it's not the paying the hush money that was the crime. It was not labeling it as hush money. But in New York State, falsifying business records is not a felony unless Trump falsified business records in order to commit or conceal a second crime. What's the second crime? Bragg eventually argued that Trump violated an obscure state election law. That law makes it illegal to promote or prevent the election of any person to a public office by unlawful means. So, somewhat ironically, the prosecutors were accusing Trump of trying to rig the 2016 election. And that's why he was covering up his hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. But hold on, because for Trump to have actually broken that election law, prosecutors have to argue that Trump did something illegal to interfere with the election. That's the unlawful means. And here's where it gets really confusing. The judge gave the jurors a choice of 3 possible unlawful means that Trump had to have done in order to interfere with the election. Those are either violating federal campaign finance laws or falsifying other business records. Not the Michael Cohen hush money ones, but other ones. Or violating tax laws by putting false information on tax forms. Each juror had to believe that Trump did at least one of these 3 things, but they didn't have to agree on which one he did. That's the part that people were tweeting about incorrectly. But I can't really blame them, because what I just explained to you was not something you could cover in a tweet. It's a PhD dissertation. So to recap, in order to convict Trump, jurors had to unanimously agree that he falsified business records in order to conceal that he was breaking the law to interfere in the 2016 election. They just didn't have to agree on how he broke the law to interfere in the election, which was not the crime he was actually on trial for. Turns out the American legal system is more complicated than how they make it look on Suits, where every case is won by looking at a box of documents and saying, wait, I think we've got something here. There were a lot of dicey things about this case from the very beginning, like the fact that Trump could be found guilty for just causing the business records to be falsified. He didn't have to do it himself or even explicitly order it to be done, or the fact that DA Bragg apparently pushed his prosecutors to scour the penal code for a secondary crime that would make this a felony. That's when they eventually found what the New York Times called an obscure state election law. And the Times also called it a novel and untested theory, because the DA was trying to apply a state election law to a federal election. All this really makes it seem like, well, a rigged trial. It reads like, instead of starting with a known crime and trying to prove that Trump committed it, DA Alvin Bragg was starting with Donald Trump and searching for a crime to pin on him. Which is why even people who aren't big fans of Trump think this trial was politically motivated. You have to admit certain things don't help that perception, like Trump being scheduled for sentencing on July 11th, just 4 days before the GOP convention. But I'm sure that this case and all these other trials against Trump that are seemingly being rushed are all just coincidence. Trump deserved what every lawfully convicted criminal in New York City gets: his immediate release back onto the streets. A lot of people had strong opinions about this trial, and a lot of them were flat out wrong. Why do people who know the least know it the loudest? Well, that's what I talk about in the latest episode of my new show, Deep Thoughts While Gaming. Click here and let me know what you think. America Uncovered wouldn't exist without your support. Click that orange button, support the show on Patreon. All it takes is $1 an episode, and you can set a monthly limit. I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.
He was twisted beyond redemption, but we will mourn him still. Thankfully, the seed of life. Take care, champions. The seed of life is volatile in mortal hands. With the power of this seed, Yggdrasil will be defended. The rock will not succeed.
This is really super lame. Might as well show up here. Only way to get your legendary sword, but let's be real here. Nice point. Nothing on it. I don't know. Nothing out of here. You do like mythic plus, like what's the point?
Champions, what? Any intruder to the dream will be attacked, no matter the purity of their intentions.
My goods are of the highest quality. Good luck, friend.
May you find what you seek.
Don't worry, I won't, because I don't have any fucking money. Don't do this. Don't do this. This being build a home. I don't ever have.
Flight has much to offer. Take all the time you need. This is when you leave.
Looking for someplace new to explore?
TBQ NHL. Oh, there it is. Super horrible, you know. What are the odds of one of those?
At your service. Return to me soon. Return to me soon. I am
What a fucking awful country. What a horrible place to live. That's all I have to say. I fucking hate the United States. Fuck the United States. I can't get on the fucking internet.
For response time, fingerprints, and a lot of people might. The average bank ratings at the individual level
All you need to know is that all metrics carry the. This puts us when looking at these metrics. That position. We now come to the United States, which is a genuinely weird country to say the least. Sitting in at the dead middle of our list, the country was pulled down by healthcare and a pretty insane level of income inequality. With this being said, its GDP is unfathomably massive, actually being larger than the next 8 countries on the list combined. This isn't to say that GDP was the only thing carrying Uncle Sam, as it scored the 2nd place for net household income, and its education rating was up there with some of the best countries we examined. Quite bizarrely, the land of the free actually scored quite low in terms of freedom, especially when compared against other developed countries. The United States shows it has abundant room for improvement. However, the good news is that it seems to have ample money to buy themselves out of its B-tier position. Next up is India, which was much worse than we imagined before starting this project, who also come in above if enough people want a sequel with more countries.
Recommended for everyone for self-defense.
Stupid people, because not only can you find yourself in minor types of trouble, but if our government decided to rob someone because you were there, you could also be charged with something as serious as murder just by hanging around the wrong person when they decide to do something really stupid. So you really want to be careful who you let in your circle and who you go out and do things with.
So I really think here that our clerk's friend, okay, fine. I think they're doing okay stuff in this case. I don't think they're necessarily breaking the rules of stupid, but you know, his other hood rat buddies might be. And now, though, he is going to then come up, and again, I don't understand what the conversation was here, okay? But he's going to come up and like point at the guy's head or something like that, or try to take his balaclava off or something along those lines. Whether he's thinking, dude, you're going to rob this place, whatever, you're going to get capped doing that. I'm telling you, don't confront people who you don't understand their moral code, because you don't know what he is going to be capable of and what he's willing to do to enforce his social boundaries, right? This is most likely, in my opinion, a social boundary violation violence. And we see this from time to time. Oh, he offended me, he stepped to me. And Steph, when that happens, man, you don't know what he's willing to do to punish that social boundary violation.
We all have different types of currency that we use to get and give things, and disrespect and respect can be one of those things, and that people have certain social conventions around what they expect to be given and what a violation might be. And if you're in violation of somebody's kind of social contract and code, they may decide that you need to pay the price for that. And if you don't understand that person's social contracts and social code, it's really easy to get on the wrong side. And we see that particularly with something like a disrespectful thing. Sometimes people have very high punishments or payments that they expect if you disrespect them. So I think the major lesson is you cannot expect other people to think like you do. They might be completely and totally wrong to the point of being, evil about it. But that doesn't change in the moment that they're not going to require you to make payments.
I really love that. Just because they're wrong doesn't mean you won't have to pay the bill. Now, dude's gonna go and get a gun out here. I'm gonna say, if you see it and as you see it, he is backing away in that moment. But recognize that as our victim here turns away, obviously turning away is not gonna stop a bullet. You either gotta get out of the danger zone or into the danger zone. The other thing I think we should talk about here, Steph, is that our clerk ends up having to dive under the counter to go get the gun. This is one of the reasons that I always say, keep the gun on your person, because he's out of place to get it, and that makes him late to defend his friend.
We always talk about in defensive encounters that seconds matter, but it's actually more like tenths of seconds matter in defensive encounters that only last a total of a few seconds. Seconds, and it's over. Tenths of seconds, and you can make a difference. So the fact that he has to go to retrieve a gun while, bullets are already flying puts everyone at a huge disadvantage. He was able to get there this time, but to be able to get it into the fight, a second sooner could have made a huge difference here.
And I really think, okay, good that he had a gun available to him, right? So I'm down with that. I love that. I know in California, their gun laws really suck in California, and I wish that they were better. But I'm grateful that he had something available to him here. Would much rather have had it on his person. Carry it on your person if at all possible, because that tenths of seconds really does matter. Now, dude is going to go out. Now, I want to talk about the bystander here real quick. We only saw the bystander for a brief second because as soon as bad things started, that bystander dropped a ninja smoke bomb and bounced and went and found concealment. I say this all the time on the channel, concealment ain't cover, but it works the same in like 99% of instances in private citizen encounters because what bad guys don't see, they don't shoot at. Now, of course, here if there was a spray round, that could have been a significant problem, but getting out of the danger zone, finding yourself a place to hide, I mean, maybe if you're a big meat-eating crime fighter and you've seen the whole thing and you know who the good guy is here, maybe you could do something about it. But I think for the vast majority of people here, Steph, diving behind something and getting out of the way was really smart.
I think it's a huge win, and so often we see the exact opposite, where we see kind of a freeze response from bystanders as they're not helping, but they're not also getting themselves to safety. So to see them actually, to see someone actually make a quick decision, make a movement, and get behind concealment, like you said, that works often just as well as cover, I think that was just brilliant by our bystander here. And we always talk about, making decisions about what type of third-party encounters you're willing to be a part of ahead of time. This one, we have video of it, and I'm still a little confused about what's going on and who's our good guy and bad guy here. We're trying to learn the lessons we can. This is not something I'm likely going to get involved in unless I'm forced to. Maybe you're different, but regardless, you need to know 100% what's going on in a third-party encounter, not beyond a reasonable doubt, not I think I have a good idea what's going on. If you're putting all of your chips on the table, you better be 100% sure in a third-party encounter. And this person wasn't. They got out of the way and did what they
I'm
could
so
in the
bored
moment
that I
to
hardly
protect
care. I
themselves.
could
think that's
not
a big
care
win
less.
you don't often see.
I really agree. I think that, of course, if you kiss them goodnight, you're going to defend them with deadly force. Get outside of that, man, you're starting to run risks. Next, the clerk here shoots this guy squarely in the back, but that's justified defensive use of force. He's absolutely shooting at my good friend, and if I don't stop him right now, he is going to kill my friend. I'm certain my friend is going to die. So remember what we say all the time. It is not about where you shoot someone. It is about why you shoot someone. You shoot somebody in the front and it not be justified defensive use of force. Here, shooting him in the back, I want you to recognize 100% this is morally justifiable, 100% legally justifiable, because he is an imminent deadly threat to your friend. You know that threat exists. You have to stop it or somebody's going to die. So it's not about where, it's about why.
Yeah, and if he continues on this path without turning around and continuing to engage, at some point in the future, this does become unjustified. But at this point, we've got a gun out, we've got a friend that's been shot, everyone is still at risk. You can certainly defend others in any way that they could defend themselves. And so, yeah, this shot in the back is absolutely, completely justified, in my opinion. I would like to see the clerk have taken the time to get a second hand on that gun. We're kind of, sending rounds out into a parking lot in a populated area. If we don't get the bad guy to stop these bullets, we're not sure where they're going to go. So a second hand on that gun could ensure that the bullets are stopped by our bad guy here, and I think that's important.
I really agree. I think you saw that last shot there that he kind of jerked that gun low left because he's shooting with one hand on the gun. See, untrained people do this all the time. And so I just can't say enough. Put two hands on the gun. Two hands on the gun is how we learn to use it. Every police force in America uses two hands on the gun for a reason. That is where your best marksmanship is going to be. And remember, especially as a private citizen, you are accountable for every round that leaves the muzzle. So you want them all. If you're going to press the trigger, you want to know that it has a very high probability of going into your bad guy. We can all make mistakes, but we want to have a very high probability of getting hits The most important of which is not the legal liability of it, it's the fact that he's a deadly threat to your friend, and misses don't end gunfights. Now, of course, you want to be fast too, because you can't miss fast enough to win a gunfight, but you can hit slow enough to lose one. So I want you to get good with a gun. That means putting 2 hands on the gun. Final thing I think we should talk about here, Steph, is that our usual advice here is don't chase down.
Yo, fuck the United States government. What an awful country. They just know that they don't need to build for a population of people that are like living in sane manners. They want people that will live in as bad of conditions as possible. Ask as little as possible, and be happy with no advancement. This kind of stuff, yeah. People that don't know how much a lot of money is. Yeah. The phrase, how much do you think is a lot of?
Deadly threat.
Yeah. Fuck you. And so uninstall. Okay, anybody, if you know how to uninstall WoW, please leave a comment down below. Just kidding. Install. I should definitely go install it right now.
I think I'm the only person on Earth who still plays Witch's Broom.
Best goods in the Isles.
person on Earth who still plays Witch's Broom.
I think so. Whatever game you play, State Farm supports you. We're not alone. They have a potluck
You'll
every
find
Tuesday.
no better in the city.
Home Spring. If one can see the dashpad. Yeah. There is not too much going on this stage, it's just fun ride. Make sure to download your boost mode. There's a jump here I want to make. I made the jump. I never made the jump lately, like every time of the practice. I failed the jump. I was even using the funny save state on save state, so yeah. And here I need to jump. Okay, I'm actually on the top row. I didn't fall off. That's completely good for it. Okay, so right now again full stop to not, you know, run or overshoot the goal. Now we can talk about why the bosses are sometimes annoying. There is a huge randomness factor on the bosses. That is how well you can bounce. Sometimes you get bounced on the place and it's really good and that's what we actually want, and sometimes you can just get yeet.
Oh geez, yeah. Like when the oh my goodness, that bounce was huge. But while the when the cannonballs fire seems to be on a set timer, but the slopes of the stage I don't believe are anything other than random.
Yeah, no, there's
and that can like affect your jump trajectory. Like if you're jumping on a higher like on a rising slope, you'll jump a lot higher. If you're jumping on a descending slope, you'll jump a lot lower, but a lot more quickly to the right.
Got the frame perfect. Let's go. Okay, music plant, or I should call it music pain. I used to be a fan of this level because how it looked. Then I started to speedrun this game, and right now this is my least favorite stage on the entire game. Why?
I think another runner of this game, Kirby Master, has similar feelings because of the sub-pixels that can really just stop you for no reason.
Okay, so cool vibes of this stage. Yeah, I can totally tell you this stage has cool vibes and it's kind of the casino stage for this game. No, for example, that spring there is just a 50-50 chance to take your boost mode. There's a 50-50 chance for race to actually not work. And of course, a lot of sub-pictures everywhere. If we can say something about this game is the physics and the level design doesn't understand each other very well. Like, it doesn't feel like, you know, you can go fast because the level design it doesn't pretty much allow you to do it.
Like a report. Either way, it's like
not because the bosses, but mostly because an internal thing. Mainly
the why I'm not playing.
Yeah, like the game wants you to go really fast and really fluidly, but the spring crunch alongside the level design being kind of more akin to classic games, it feels like the level design is not necessarily built with the boost in mind outside of like some of the very, very early levels like Leaf Forest and Hot Crater. Once you start getting the music plant and some later stages as well, I hate the Sky World. I forget what it's called. It's not Angel Island. That's Sonic Advance 1. But
it's Sky Canyon.
when you get into
Heroic Leaf Ready Swifty.
Can you cause a Crusader or Mongoose? Can I cause you? Can I cause a Crusader or Mongoose? I don't think I can cause it, no. Can you put Judge of Justice on this guy? Because he's just running the whole game.
Dumbass.
Here, I'll fear the druid. I'll fear the druid.
Tremor.
Oh, Oh, did he trinket? Oh no, he dropped the tremor.
I think I'm the only person.
This is presumably because Mr. Trump didn't think that the American people would find it cool that he slept with a porn star. The guilty verdict, which was
The city's finest wares. You'll find nothing better in the Isles. Best goods in the Isles. I am always at your service. The city's finest wares.
Best goods.
This better be worth my time. Till we meet again. Goodbye now. Good luck out there. You'll need it.
A wise choice. Farewell.
Animal. Oh my god, I hate this country.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards don't. Yu-Gi-Oh cards don't credit the artists who designed them.
Who is this reprint set for? This week, Konami revealed that they'll be re-releasing the retro.
Jimmy Neutron, Granddaddy.
Yeah, this new.
Why is
If China invades Taiwan,
I don't give a shit about the geopolitics. I'm not going to ever take sides.
This is the simplest way to get the best coffee of your life.
Get out my face, man. You guys harassed.
Dude, suppressor?
What?
This gear spins around.
If this balloon touches...
In Kingdom Hearts 1, Riku is...
I don't know if you know this, but...
For that feng shui, dude.
Do you think you're smart? I think I'm so...
Did you know there's a Yu-Gi-Oh?
The reason I'm stopping you is...
This girl takes an angle round.
Like, I'm scared.
Because at age 5, you go to school, and school is fun because you make friends, but school is hard because...
So this couple, they live in the jungle.
Super crack is not a word.
Welcome to 30-minute meals.
Now where?
So Zelda has a timeline.
Insert a vertical image onto a slide, then stretch it to...
Creating a custom Pokemon.
Ah, shoot, I bricked. I'm gonna...
Like my whole life, I've been told to don't put metal in the mic.
How fast did you make the internet? There are no cities in Japan.
I like to think of lenses like, these are my top 5 bedroom.
She was like, Mark, whatever you do.
Things in Japan that make no sense.
Hi, I'm a full-time voice actor.
Today, we pulled up to a garage.
That awkward moment when you're caught red-handed after floor.
I attempted to pull the reverse.
Hey, you should try our new...
Mercedes.
Ghosto.
Just ghost?
I went to one of the slowest ramen restaurants in all of Japan.
So this is King, correct. And this is also King, also correct.
This hidden mechanic is more...
So this TikToker's really popular.
Equip spells in Yu-Gi-Oh! Do you know Sora's costume?
Why do 80% of...
After we had broken up.
Former President Donald Trump has been...
A normal Pythagoras cup has a center.
A smash burger will always be better than a regular...
This is Japan's 1000.
This Kingdom Hearts world will...
This is Krabby and Patty.
Hey man, what's the name of that one Germany song?
Uber for Jeff?
Yes.
When you try to press the power button on your computer...
If Magic players cheated like chess.
Here's what school lunch looks
What happens when the cop...
I've designed it.
What happens when the cop...
I've designed...
Alright, looks like we got a Nax.
You want to hear something?
Yeah, sure.
Y'all cool with...
Bill and Hillary...
Hi, here's your main and smash.
So all men...
How fast is the...
Google is the only company that's at...
Ever wondered what Nuka-Cola...
Put your hand...
I tried so
The Guy of Timaeus is an...
The level of stupid.
Hey, I'm just getting home now. Did you remember? Does anyone have...
When this guy was...
Excuse me. Here you go.
Do you think the American right or the American left?
Ah, the Reggies, my...
What sounds great after...
My heart is...
Hi, I'm a full-time voice actor, and here...
No, my dad didn't inspire...
There is now an item in... And now...
Dixie, look at this. Wouldn't it be entirely possible?
Jason!
I'm getting more money.
Yo, what's good?
Mirrors do not show...
Do not fall for these tourist traps.
This is a shocking space marine.
Look, Mom, I made up a new trick.
As iconic as Exodia is...
Website secure boredom, part 9.
A new report finds that as people move...
Looks like in Leo's area here, someone made a...
I like big boy.
How to bikes without riders.
He was doing this interview. Someone said...
I'm sorry, but...
Oh, shit!
Come with me to...
This is the closest you're gonna get to...
Hey, man, did you call 911?
Kaidu.
Dragonite.
You've seen that thing on Jupiter, that storm that never quits.
Why does it sound like there's a ball inside?
All right, guys, here we go. We get to go second, yes.
Who'd you say did the electrical work?
Rank these 6 foods, but you... Excuse me. Are you going on a... We used to get 5 speeches a day.
If I trained a rat to make actual rat...
What the fuck do DJs actually do?
I know you're not supposed to.
Oatmeal kind of taught himself to...
Hey guys, this is a classic known as the 4-hat riddle. I show
worst dad jokes of all time.
So this is my buddy Bruce. He's my octopus.
I hear the fishing's great.
If you ever see a...
When I was like 20, my...
Does anyone else think it's low-key fat?
This amazing new toy is...
I didn't try to move my giant king coat.
1 minute of useless...
What's the name of the guys you perform with, the group?
Kingdom Hearts 3's...
Did you know the type of...
This is the bit...
Alright, I just want...
If you're very calm, it's easy to...
Oh, chainmail might be...
Cause I don't wanna live. My students...
Did you know that in the United...
How about this? I bet I...
If you stepped...
Let's say I recognize...
The day that I've met...
Hi, guys.
1 minute of useless information.
All right, class. Today we have a pop.
We got some news the other day that we will be.
Did you know that there are features?
Hi, you ready to duel?
A common mistake artists make when drawing hand. Roulette is not a game.
Traffic sign tier list. Now,
There's a park in southern Manhattan.
3 things you used to be able...
How does cheat engine work?
Stop buying from Shein and Temu.
Guess the card, win the card. All right, is a must.
a Minecraft TV show.
If you struggle with procrastination, I've got a brain hack that.
Right.
We're so good together.
Organization 13 members.
A woman complained...
As millions of...
That's $6.99.
What's your type?
I have a go.
So this is a photo of the
What happens when you put light?
Calisthenics tip.
Guessing my chinchilla is blind.
Okay, Cheap, tell me when you're ready to be found. This is how Madison...
Hey, nice to see you again.
There is a saying in Korea.
I feel like this tiger print.
You guys are all friends, you 4?
People who work for the super wealthy. What stuff have you seen?
Actually call my stepmom mom because my... I have something to admit. Out of all of you guys, I have a...
This or that?
All in.
POV, you play tank. I hope Gohan is okay. He's been in his room all day.
I think this is one of...
I'll take you to a pure high.
As you get older, more.
This is slander, Ms.
I woke up this morning.
3 incredible...
This middle school wouldn't let...
Things in Japan that I thought was normal.
What is this? It's Harley?
Vicious Astroloud. Oh. These are the weirdest laws in Texas.
Hungarians are an Asian people. Many people believe that...
My lawyer said if you call...
I know most people don't care about...
Pretty normal room.
Okay, I'm ready.
Why do I always use this song? And no, it's not.
Explain to me how this makes...
But this is pretty much my...
No, what are we hitting today?
This is why I had the best...
Here we got RX 77.
Stop using conditioner like this.
Probably you should name your kid Jesus.
I convinced Social Security to...
This is every Final Fantasy.
They all have incredible...
I was on a first date with a guy...
Guess the video game character.
The day that
I'm sorry for bringing you...
I'm your first priority. I sound...
This morning I called...
I have literally hundreds...
I just woke up.
Don't mean to flex on you.
If you applied a coat of paint to the bottom of your shoes every single day, one coat on top of the other every morning, you would leave Earth just as quickly as our moon is leaving us.
Oh my god. So
But yeah, too many people to see.
And the Bentonville mountain bike scene. Rich Drew is a name that will be familiar. Seems to be on board with mountain biking.
About the other mountain bike meccas that immediately come to mind, whether it's Moab, Sedona, Crested Butte, but really the one that came to mind as the most pressing was Bentonville. Sort of challenge need.
Time for me, so I'm in.
Crested Butte I could conceptualize more because you can keep all of the big climbs and loops like in a Rolodex in your head, kind of. Created with and maintained with excellence.
During peak season, it seems like every mountain bike newsfeed has something in it that takes place at Whistler Bike Park. But a recent poll showed that only 22% of this audience has been to a resort-style bike park, let alone Whistler specifically. So today, I'll presume nothing about your knowledge of bike parks or Whistler, and provide a crash course for the 78%.
Whoa, what are you... What's the matter with you?
No pun intended.
Why did you do that? I lost the pedal and I looked down to place it again.
Look at this video as a refresher to make that
But
stuff
you
in
did
the
intend the
community a
pun.
little more
You
relevant
intended
to
that
follow.
pun.
Let's start with some disambiguation. Whistler is a municipality about 80 miles north of Vancouver, Canada. It has schools, grocery stores, houses, coffee shops, a hardware store, a museum, and even a library just like your town. But it's all planned around a ski resort and bike park called Whistler Blackcomb. This video has not been made in affiliation with the town or resort. Speaking of the bike park, it's not even close to the only place to ride in Whistler. And the town is also situated close to Squamish, Pemberton, and a long list of other great riding destinations. No doubt many people come to Whistler just to be here, and there are many other things to do besides mountain biking and skiing. But
Well, isn't that just fucking great? I'll go take my millions of dollars and go down there and buy myself a nice fancy bike.
Not everyone here is rich or even close to it. By taking day trips, camping outside of town, or just making sacrifices and saving up, many ordinary mountain bikers make the pilgrimage to Whistler Bike Park. And no matter what direction you're coming from,
Okay,
that
I'll toil in the
pilgrimage ends up
hinterlands
being
like a
pretty stunning
peasant.
trip.
Maybe one day I can go
Resorts
there
like
when I'm
Whistler
old and
Blackcomb are
frail and ready to
primarily for
die.
skiing, with mountain biking only becoming a source of summer revenue over the last few decades. This is important because I've seen a lot of resorts treat mountain biking like an off-season activity, but not Whistler. Here, there's always something new going on, whether it be changes to existing trails or the development of brand new ones. The sheer quantity and variety put Whistler in an elite category shared only by a few destinations. Because it's been like this for so long, countless bike companies and professional riders have planted roots in Whistler's vicinity. So even as other amazing destinations step up their game, it'll be some time before any have the clout enjoyed by this whole region. But I don't think it's the clout that keeps the masses coming back. It's the stuff out on the mountain.
The
And most trips
masses.
up it start with a short ride on the Fitzsimmons Express, the first lift that takes you to the Fitzsimmons Zone.
The masses.
This is where iconic trails like A-Line and Dirt Merchant are located, and the majority of laps at Whistler
Those
Bike
other
Park will
people.
begin and end here.
How long does it take?
5 minutes.
I feel like we're zooming. This is great.
From the Fitzsimmons Zone back to the base, you lose about 1,200 feet of elevation. That's a healthy number, and it's enough to wear most people out. But it's not even close to all the vertical Whistler has. From the top of Fitzsimmons, you can hop on the Garbanzo Express and gain another 2,700 feet of elevation. Up in the Garbanzo Zone, or Garbo, you'll find a whole lot of raw, steep, advanced features, from exposed rock rolls to plain old harrowing tech. From there, you can even descend to a completely different part of the mountain, called Creekside, which has a lot of tight single track and even some loam. Compared to the rest of the mountain, Creekside's trails are somewhat new, and the area has opened up a whole new canvas for Whistler to expand its trails. But you can go even higher. Once the snow melts later in the summer, you can take a gondola to the peak of Whistler and gain another 1,100 feet of rocky technical goodness. From top to bottom, this bike park loses over 5,000 feet of elevation and contains over 155 miles of trail. But the most impressive part is the variety. In one run, you can ride loam, rock rolls, tech, wooden features, and high-speed jump trails. And most of it is shielded from the elements by trees, which is something you might take for granted if you've never tried to ride jumps in the wind. And speaking of jumps, there are a lot of them at Whistler, but none as well known as those found on A-Line.
me. I'm passionate about what I'm doing.
He's one of America's most infamous bank robbers. Back in 2014, David Rose interviewed 43-year-old Anthony Curcio, who promised he had learned his lesson and would never go back to prison. Tonight, though, we've learned he is now charged in a new multi-million-dollar crime. Now, Curcio is best known for floating off with $400,000 from Monroe Bank in 2008, getting away in an inner tube down on a local creek.
Now, flash forward, and now federal investigators say Curcio and an accomplice have scammed a total of $2 million from unknowing buyers who were in the market for ultra-rare Pokemon and sports trading cards. Fox 13 News reporter AJ Janivel is breaking down how the pair got away with it for so long.
I'm in Renton right now at one of the shops that actually got hit in this scam. And some of these cards here go for a small fortune. Today, I looked into Curcio's past and spoke to people who helped build this case.
Money, things are not the most important in this world. I promise you that.
Anthony Curcio, the former high school and college athlete, convicted of pepper spraying an armored truck driver and stealing nearly $500,000. For the last decade, Curcio has been on the up and up, speaking to kids about his mistakes, even authoring children's books. But now it seems like he's back to his old ways, as he and 37-year-old Iosif Bondarchuk face federal wire fraud charges, all for these little guys.
Well, 20 years ago, this was a $3
First of all, fuck Bank of America. They need to change their name immediately to Bank of India. That is my opinion of them. You know, the Bank of America was originally the Bank of Italy. And then they found out that they could deceive people in business and abuse the credibility of the name of the United States of America by changing their bank's name from the Bank of Italy to the Bank of America. It's true. And it'd be a more accurate reflection of their current values to rename it to Bank of India.
It was about 10 grand. Yeah.
Don Joss is the owner of DJ Sports Cards. He tells me he's one of Curcio and Bondarchuk's victims. He says one of the suspects came into his Renton shop and sold him look-alike cards a few months back. So, he helped the FBI bring the scammers to justice.
We sent the slabs in, we had ID, we had video, we had just all kinds of proof that he'd walked in here and made that transaction. We had his phone number from when he called. We had all kinds of information.
The indictment says, for 2 years, Curcio and Bondarchuk lied, finessed, and cheated people like DJ and many others across the country out of $2 million. Now, the two accused fraudsters face decades behind bars.
Then I lost 5 years in prison.
A place Curcio said...
Yeah, so like a few people probably intentionally shorted me on cards whenever I bought stuff, and it's kind of difficult to tell on some of the smaller details. You notice the big stuff, but
nobody answered.
One of the things I noticed in particular, somebody sent me a Braun Mad King of Dark World rather than a Brow Scout of Dark World. The difference being like a full like $10 at like the apex of the value of the card. Now maybe like $5 or even that. I don't even know. Like the secret rare Brow, like you want that for playset for purposes of draw engines. Then with Braun, it's useless garbage. You would never want it. You have it for a display set or something. It's like 2 cents. Well, you definitely made a little mistake there. It was probably more than a mistake because it carried economic value. And unfortunately, I didn't have time with all the chaotic things happening in my life to do this in the midst of it on time in the moment and call them out on it and get it within the return window. So I just have to eat that loss. Can I write it off on my taxes? What a fucking stupid country. Dumb asshole.
Today we're going to get to analyze a badge cam that, quite frankly, is a big mess all around. It's 10 to 12 foot.
Saying that it happens frequently.
Okay.
But this time it sounded like it was getting out of hand.
Okay, which door?
I don't know. So I'm not sure. 2 weeks ago, I was walking by their apartment, basically, on this side, and I was hearing someone yell, like, shut the f up, like, you stupid B word and all this other stuff, and I heard a slap, like, right after it, but I wasn't sure where it came from, and I couldn't call, like, I didn't want to call the police, and, like, you know.
Which room is it?
1401.
1401, okay.
1401. But the girl
But
sounded
what if
like
she
one
was
of
a stupid bitch?
she was,
I
like,
mean,
saying that
like,
it
she
sounded
could
like
be.
it's getting really out of hand.
So it's hit number 4, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. You need me a favor, we stand out there and direct the other deputy that's coming to this area?
It's not, you're gonna go up to the fourth floor and it's gonna be on this side.
Gotcha.
You should let her tell you in that side, but she ain't gonna say the other part. Ain't gonna talk about what that hoe was saying and what she was doing. Maybe she needed to be slapped.
Sheriff's office, open the door!
Sheriff's office. Some lady says she heard you say something like 3 weeks ago. Oh.
Couldn't call, like, I didn't want to call the police and, like, you know.
Which room is it?
1401.
1401, okay.
It sounds like
Stand out there and direct the other deputy that's coming to this area?
it's not, you're gonna go up to the fourth floor and it's gonna be on this side.
Gotcha. Sheriff's office, open the door! Sheriff's office, open the door! Step out. Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! 312, shots fired. Suspect down. Do not move! 312, got EMS my location.
The man who came to the door had a gun in his hand. He was a young Air Force Special Forces enlisted person. He died of his injuries here, which is just an absolute travesty. He was apparently on FaceTime with his girlfriend. I haven't heard whether they were actually having an argument in that moment or not. None of the news stories mentions that. I've put a bunch of them linked in the description. There's been quite
Yeah, it's funny. That's pretty funny. These are comedic videos. I thought ever, it's mostly just comedy.
if we say that the mission and get your boy, and so they're going to show up to do exactly that. We have badge cam audio.
Mike was,
guy into custody. You are covering him, and so he gets a. You go hands on with a guy.
Can't know that, and
neither of the officers. It'll orbit back around to you
so far that your striker can't reach the primer.
The fuck is this dumb shit? Why is this garbage randomly in my feed, and why can't I say go away? Like, what the fuck is that garbage?
Are you tempted to go down? How have you trained for this event, or have you trained?
You can. Can I hand? So I came here.
Yep. We still living though.
What was your technique on the way down?
Was wild. It goes very quickly.
Did you have tactics and
The ideas of the late Freeman Dyson was low, which time
bigger and taller at Kyoto Sanga. But really, it wasn't all good news. Not only was even bringing up the fact that in biography saying they unleashed
I don't know if you know this, but I wouldn't have.
A lot of people say that I
Insert a vertical image onto a slide.
What a bunch of bullshit. Of all the millions of live streams, this is all they can fucking show you. What a goddamn terrible country to allow this kind of fucking garbage. Disgraceful. What a bunch of absolute fucking garbage. Alright, let's view all live now streams. Well, that's every live stream on YouTube. It's crazy. What a fucking joke. Yeah, man, it should be the kind of thing that people are getting slaughtered over, like, actually, like, I would hope that people get killed over this, yes. What a fucking joke, dude.
The series is a
What a disgrace. What an absolute fucking disgrace. What a dumb bitch. A bunch of dumb bullshit. Like, fuck all of you guys. Like, what a stupid fucking video. Shit just keeps on reappearing like cancer on your screen. What a fucking joke, man. They have destroyed this company. What a fucking stupid video. If you made that, you'd get shot in the fucking head. What an absolute joke, too. The United States is the worst country to exist. Absolutely fucking nowhere. South Carolina is a horrible place. Let me go ahead and warn you. Do not fucking move there. Stay clear, way the fuck away from the United States in general. What a horrible terrorist run into what a fucking awful place to be. This one with this dumb faggot and this stupid bullshit. It's getting put on my screen. You can't say don't recommend. Why the fuck would it be like that? Because a dumb asshole Indian is in charge of the fucking company. A dumb asshole Indian is in charge of YouTube. They're fucking stupid. What the fuck are they doing right now when everybody is out there just talking about how awful the product is now that they're in charge? They're just enjoying their money now on this nice Saturday night. Don't worry, YouTube is completely unusable. Literally a targeted weapon against the individual. That's stupid.
Well, the FBI is offering
a shootout.
They just pulled in the parking lot.
Cash in a bin.
Fucking dumbass. And it's really fucking funny how Susan Wojcicki's son dead because
the 19-year-old son of ski freshman at UC Berkeley was found.
we're fucking glad that happened.
It's incredible to look at. Well, India just took that whole rack of 25 columns back home. My home country being culturally and politically divided / conquered consistently, that's never fun. But being an alleged doomer, supposed loser Silver Bull, when I saw the shorts paint back the $31.80 an ounce rally yesterday, my heart sank. Just knowing the inevitable end-of-month retest at $30 an ounce would paint...
...predict will continue to be in that strong run in prices is...
Do you do it with the physical demand?
$100 an ounce. So if you adjust for inflation, you know, you should have gold somewhere around $2,000 to $3,000.
Man, what an awful fucking country. What a terrible fucking place. So do you think it would pick up on the fact that I just said, like, don't recommend, like, 20 different World of Warcraft videos in a row? Like, it's just atrocious. Like, the algorithm is so fucking bad. This is why I unequivocally
The dead internet fury. The internet died 5 years ago. Google does not search. People don't write. 90% of all internet activity is simulated by bots. Many avatars and texts are generated. If you search for the phrase, "I hate texting" on Twitter and scroll down, you'll start to notice a pattern. An account with that. Don't understand why everyone is trying so hard.
Fucking
to make
awful
me look
country.
such radical antagonists, so that
Like, I would legitimately just cheer if somebody went and shot a bunch of people that worked at YouTube. I fucking hate this company. What an awful place. What a seriously fucking terrible country. Company, state, everything, every conceivable fucking thing is awful. What a terrible place to live. Literally just a terrorist run bullshit. Human slave farm. Open air. It's garbage. Every little tiny thing about the United States. What a dumb asshole. So I fucking hate World of Warcraft streamer creator type people. I absolutely fucking hate them. What a dumb asshole. Who the fuck cares, dude? Stupid fuck. What the fucker? What a dumb asshole, dude. I fucking hate people like that. Like, what a fucking loser. Like, shut the fuck up. Go shoot yourself in the fucking head. Living off vending machines for a week. Alright. Congratulations being a dumb, stupid, fucking retard. Wow, I ate microwave hamburgers for a week. In Japan! What a stupid fucking country. The United States is the worst place to ever exist. Who gives a fuck, you dumb asshole? I have no intention on resubscribing at this point, honestly. I'm not. Fuck World of Warcraft. What a stupid fucking game. I'm not paying down a house mortgage or off of playing the fucking game like some people, so what's the fucking point? Joke. What a dumb bitch. What a stupid whore. Who gives a fuck what that dumb bitch says? World of Warcraft is the world's worst game. Imagine if a MOBA it took like 70,000 hours to get your fucking gear and then they deleted it in every game still. Imagine if it took like 5 years. What a fucking stupid game. What an awful fucking country. Say censor all good, coherent, rational opinions. So whenever you search for a rational thing like this, there's just nothing available. Even though this is how the majority of people feel around the world. There's nobody that's actually expressing the most commonly held viewpoint to exist.
Three people are dead, including a...
Honestly, my boyfriend's been shot. His friend has been shot in the bathroom. They've both been shot in the head. I'm surprised it hasn't happened sooner. You know, honestly, it's that bad over here.
That was one neighbor's reaction when he walked out of his home to see this chaotic scene just last night. Minneapolis police responded to a call of shots fired, and that's when we're told their officers were fired upon.
Now, we do have scanner audio of these horrifying moments.
Has given his life. This tragedy actually, we know SWAT officers arrived, they were shot at. There was an exchange of gunfire, and Jamal was struck.
Today is a sad day for the Minneapolis Police Department and for the city of Minneapolis. And I ask that you remember that
Was asking everyone in Minneapolis as well as around the state of
Started at HCMC, dozens of cars lining up for hours.
To protect older couple from their burning house. We've got the body cam video. This was released last February. It's just how dangerous